Welcome, 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 folks. Nice to see you coming in as you arrive from the waiting room where you have been oh so patiently waiting. We usually start our services by me inviting in some other than humans who I've selected for today. Today, I'm going to encourage you to take just a moment and listen to any sound, utterings. Sometimes we might consider it noise from any other than humans who are around you. Do you hear any bird song, canine wolves, cat meows, or perhaps the tiny scratching of a mouse in your wall? Who do you hear in your habitat? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, or future people on YouTube, hello during your time zone. Welcome to the Compassion Consortium. I'm Reverend Sarah Bowen, and I'm joined today by co-founders of the consortium, Victoria Moran and Reverend William Melton. Also joined by our spiritual team, Elaine, Jen, and Phil. And Animal Chaplain Jess is also here to offer us another beautiful animal blessing at the conclusion of our service. In order to ensure we don't have disruption during the service, we've turned off most of the Zoom sharing functions. So if you're trying to use them, they're not there. But we look forward to seeing and hearing your voices at the end of our service during our fellowship time. We meet for Sunday service the third Sunday of every month. And if you're new to us, welcome. We're so delighted you're here. We are an interfaith, interspiritual, and interspecies community. And if you're new, that might take some unpacking. So let me explain that. Interfaith means that we welcome people of any spiritual or religious tradition or philosophy or system of meaning making at all. Interspiritual means that we believe underneath all of those, underneath the particularities and the specificities, there's a common commitment to three values that we find: a commitment to peace, to being of compassionate service, and care for this earth. And finally, our community is interspecies, which means we consider the lives of and the needs of the many, many, many species we share the planet with, including those you might have heard at the beginning of the service and those you will see during this service. And at the beginning of each Sunday service, I tend to offer an acknowledgement, drawing our awareness to humans and other species who are indigenous to and currently present in whatever habitat I'm in. Because this month is Native American Heritage Month, I'd like to invite each of you to consider those who lived in your habitat before you and who may be struggling to live in your community now. There's a link where you can type in your address and you can find out the peoples that lived in your habitat prior to you, or perhaps live there now, but you might not be aware of. Learn about the complicated history of colonialism and settler-indigenous relations, and explore indigenous ways of knowing that are native to your land. You can do that at the link in the chat. And because the holiday, often referred to as Thanksgiving, is approaching in the US, I'd also like to draw our attention to the complicated history of human-turkey relations. Jess will be talking a little bit about that at the end of our service. Where I live, that means Eastern wild turkeys. What does that mean where you live? Take a moment to consider whatever emotions might arise regarding the presence and absence of peoples and other species in your habitat. This time of year can be challenging for many of us around those absences and presences. From election season to national and religious holidays, we may find ourselves in conflict with loved ones, or noticing the absence of ones we care about who have died, have been removed from a habitat, or family and friends who are too far away for us to be together at a time where everyone else is getting together, and we might find ourselves feeling alone. We also might have feelings about how animals are treated at this time of year. From the black cats that we talked about last month, to turkeys and other farmed animals, to reindeers, to those that might be used as products in gifts we might receive by well-meaning people who don't understand our ethical commitments to other sentient beings. It can be a mess. Is it a mess for anyone? It's a mess for me. Last 3 months of every year. Because of that complexity, it can be very, 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 very easy to develop a negative bias at this time of year, only seeing what is wrong with the world, only seeing the people that we're angry at or we're in conflict with. We can become completely oblivious to joy, wonder, awe, happiness, connection, and love. Can't see it at all. Negative bias is a psychological tendency to focus more on negative experiences than positive ones. So, for example, instead of seeing the opportunity to gather with family and friends as an opportunity for connection or rest or laughter or warmth, we might be looking at it considering the problems we think will arise. And we prepare for battle in our minds before we show up, figuring we'll tough it out and get through it. We can't see that there might be positive and challenging emotions during that gathering. And so we're anxious, nervous, or we may just skip the gathering altogether. That negative bias can impact our mental and physical health. I'm going to tell you a few reasons for what it can do, and then a few solutions, and we'll get on with our service. Negative experiences, when they're prolonged in our mind, can bring up hopelessness, worthlessness, sadness, avoiding social interactions, creating isolation that can hinder our creativity. They can even give us chronic stress. Mental exhaustion. See if you've had any of these. Mental exhaustion, high blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, difficulty sleeping, insomnia. How about agita, or what doctors call gastrointestinal problems? We call it agita around my house. Chronic fatigue, lack of energy. If we become preoccupied with the negative, we can also get predisposed to conditions like diabetes, heart disease, obesity. My God, that's bleak, isn't it? Let me give you some good news. What can we do to mitigate negative bias? So, researchers tell us there's 5 things we can do. 3 of them we do here every month. That's my not so subtle plug for being here every month, folks. 3 of them we do here every month. Mindfulness and meditation, gratitude practices. Both of these rewire our brain to be able to see positivity, awe, wonder, gratitude. The third is social support. We need to be connected to other people that can counteract feelings of negativity. So instead of Victoria interviewing a special spiritual guest today, she's going to be having a conversation with you. We're going to be having a conversation together. We want to hear about what helps you have gratitude and see wonder and connect with people. Now, the other 2 that we don't do here in our Sunday service is cognitive behavioral therapy, though I highly recommend it. Find a therapist, do some CBT. It really, really helps if you're stuck in thought patterns. And the other is physical exercise, which increases and releases endorphins, improves our mood. So prioritize some hikes outside, playing with canines, volunteering cleaning cages or stalls at an animal sanctuary or shelter. Or if you have a significant other, bum chicka bump bum is physical exercise too. It's the holiday season. Enjoy it. We need physical exercise. It helps us have positive emotions. So to wrap up, it's true, there is a lot of pain and suffering in the world. I am not trying to be Pollyanna on you all or to negate the things that we are fighting hard against and that which we are advocating for. Not telling us to stop doing that. Not telling us to stop seeking to tackle injustices where we see them. But at the same time, if that's all we see, if we only see the pain and the suffering, we cannot see our connections with other species, like other humans and turkeys and cats and cows and squirrels, or insert your beloved species here. And we might develop health problems that get us chucked off this planet earlier than we were meant to be. Elaine, I think you're up next.
Thanks, Sarah. At the beginning of each Sunday service, we remind ourselves of the tenets of agreement which this community strives to uphold. And as I read the words aloud, we encourage everyone to take time to contemplate how the tenets can impact and influence our daily lives. And I would like to add that these beautiful words were composed by one of our founders, William Melton. Our tenets of agreement. We acknowledge a divine force at the heart of the universe and in all living things. We may refer to this force as God, but it is known by many names and appears in different forms or as formless. We recognize the common moral principles inherent within all wisdom traditions. We affirm that compassion, reverence for life, and nonviolence are fundamental to religious faith and moral philosophy and are to be extended to all sentient beings. We stand by the principles of inclusion, diversity, and equality, and hold these as essential in our human relations. We hold that non-human animals are imbued with the same essence of life and love as our human animals, and that there is moral parity between us. We avow that humans do not own the earth, its resources, or its inhabitants, but instead must be involved in their protection and care. We endeavor to eat and live in a kind and sustainable manner, moving away from animal foods and animal-derived clothing, as well as any activities that cause harm to our fellow beings, human or otherwise. We aim to provide spiritual comfort, fellowship, and food for thought to those practicing or exploring a vegan lifestyle. We offer guidance and peer support for all those seeking a more compassionate and spiritual life. We commit to sharing these principles freely with humility and respect in support of non-human animals and the earth.
Beautifully read, Elaine, and I agree. Beautifully written by William, and we're so grateful that he's here with us today. All right, so folks, we're going to do a short meditation here. A reminder that can help us with our well-being. That's the important reason we do these things. And also today's practice helps us potentially help other species. So take a breath with me. In and out. In and out. And I'm going to ask you, who are you sharing breath with in your home? When you breathe out, someone else breathes in. Have you ever thought about animals breathing? Take a look at the screen. Here are some animals breathing in cold areas so that we can see their breath. Most animals breathe in some way. Respiration is essential for providing oxygen, right, to cells and removing carbon dioxide. Some use lungs like we do. Some use gills. Did you know some animals breathe cutaneously through their skin? That'd be so cool if I could do that. Does anyone else want to be able to breathe cutaneously through their skin? Some, like sponges, jellyfish, flatworms, do diffusion, another kind of process of breathing. Plants even do breathing, I suppose, through cellular respiration, photosynthesis, things like that. We're all sharing oxygen. There's a Tibetan Buddhist meditation practice called Tonglen. I wonder if you've heard of Tonglen before. that involves using the breath to breathe in things that might be prickly or things that we are upset about or places where we see pain and suffering, transform them in our body and breathe out something that is transformed and full of compassion. Now, to some of you, that may sound a little woo-woo right now, but I want you to give it a shot. Okay. It may help just you. And there's the potential that from a spiritual perspective, we might actually be having an impact. The Tibetan Buddhist would suggest that we are. So let's give it a shot. Sit comfortably. You can take your eyes off the screen and close them gently. And think about someone or some group for which you wish to relieve suffering. Who would you like to relieve suffering for? Your intention is key. Hold that intention, visualize them in your mind. Now, as you inhale, bear with me. This may sound a little uncomfortable. Breathe in the suffering, pain, or negativity of whoever you've decided to focus on. Visualize it as a thick, dark cloud that's entering your body, but it's okay because your heart is a flame of compassion that can transform that which you bring in as a dark, thick cloud into a white, beautiful, light-filled cloud of peace, compassion, and well-being. If this sounds absolutely impossible, tell your cognitive mind to take a break for a moment and see if somatically in your body there might be a sense of, hey, this might be possible. I'm willing to give it a shot. I have nothing to lose. Breathe in the suffering as you hold it. Picture your heart turning that which is gray and solid and murky into that which is light and shiny. It is almost weightless, and blow that out. We'll do a couple more. With each inhale, breathe in. I take your pain and suffering into my body for transformation, knowing it will not become stuck in here, but it will become transformed. And I exhale out to you peace and compassion, picturing it traveling through the air to wherever you are, so that when you breathe in, this lightness, this loveness, this compassionness might enter your body too. I'm willing to hold the possibility that I am a being of transformation and that my intention and my breath have the potential to help your pain and suffering Breathing in and breathing out. As we take one more breath together, Phil, I'll ask you to bring up that slide again. And ask you all to focus on it for just one moment. Our breathing animals. And we hold the possibility that perhaps as these animals breathe in, they receive what we have breathed out. What they breathe out, perhaps those joyous squirrels in my backyard, I am breathing in. What does inner connection look like? When we say we are involved in interbeingness and interconnection, is this one way that might happen? I don't know, folks, but I'm willing to hold it as a possibility. And my body feels a little more chill, too. The consistency of doing this practice, Tibetan Buddhists tell us, is what's important. We don't just do it once, we do it over and over and over again. Consider if you might want to do a breath practice for the rest of the month, each day. Also, if it felt kind of, I don't want to bring all this stuff into my body, start with something small. Start with like your husband's arthritis. Maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. Sean's arthritis. I'll breathe in that pain. Start with something small. He wouldn't say it's small, so there you go. But start with something that feels like it's okay to bring into your body. And be gentle. Don't force yourself to feel something that feels overwhelming. Just let emotions arise naturally. Tibetan Buddhists tell us this practice can transform how we relate to suffering by turning pain into an opportunity for compassion right within our bodies. All right, Victoria. Number one, we've got our meditation and mindfulness taken care of. How about our connection to each other in community? Can you help us out with that?
Well, you have given me a tough month for that one because November, Thanksgiving, that's really hard for vegetarians and vegans. And maybe this year in the US, where people are disagreeing about some other things too, it might be even more difficult. For me, this is an anniversary month that's really instrumental in everything that's happened for me since. And that is that long ago, Thanksgiving of 1968 was the last time that I ate meat from a land animal. So I had lived in England the previous almost a year, about 9 months going to school, and London has been really a hotbed of vegetarian sentiment for a very long time. And it took this girl from Kansas City and got me totally convinced that I needed to be on this path. And I stopped eating land animals. And then I went back home to Kansas City, which was known as slaughterhouses and barbecue and that kind of thing. That didn't bother me, but Thanksgiving bothered me. So as I think about a holiday like this, I was very influenced by 1950s sitcoms, by Norman Rockwell paintings, by the idea that everybody has this perfect family. Did anybody relate to that? Why is my family so dysfunctional and everybody else's is so perfect? Then you find out when you've grown up that the others were worse than yours. But at the time, I was trying to fit in as one does at 18. So I came back to Kansas City, where I was living with my erstwhile nanny that I called my grandmother. My parents worked, it was before daycare, and she was magnificent. I called her Dee Dee, and she was my first spiritual teacher. She raised me on reincarnation and meditation and the oneness of all religions. I was so, so lucky to have this woman in my life. But at the age of 18, coming back from England, she was really the only family that I was close to and in touch with. And she had taken a job as a weekend companion for an even older woman. So when Thanksgiving weekend came, I decided that I would be very grown up and invite my friends for Thanksgiving. Now, I mean, I had tried to be vegetarian, but come on, it's Thanksgiving. You have to have turkey on Thanksgiving, right? Well, I was intimidated by cooking a turkey, vegetarian leanings or not, even though in 1968, the average turkey weighed 17 pounds. And because of selective breeding, the average turkey today weighs 30 pounds. That still just seemed like more than I was willing to try to accomplish. So I invited 5 friends and I purchased 6 little Cornish game hens. And I worked and worked in the kitchen and I decorated and everything looked so autumnal and so beautiful. And I'm thinking, this adulting thing, it's going to work for me. I'm getting pretty good at it. Things are looking a little bit Norman Rockwell. And then I looked at the beautifully set table and those 6 little bodies around the table. And that was when I knew this is it for me. This is the end. I can never, ever do this again. And fully vegetarian, getting rid of the fish, took another year. Going vegan took a really long time, but eventually it all happened. So I tell you this story today because many of us are going to be sharing this holiday coming up with people who have yet to have their rock Cornish game hen experience, or they're seeing a video and, oh my gosh, that was the one experience, or reading a book and discovering, oh my gosh, this is the way I want to live my life. So I call these people pregans, and I always treat pregans as vegans in the making. And so I would never say, if we were out at a Starbucks, like, do you want cow's milk or oat or almond or soy? And of course, now at Starbucks, we don't even have to pay extra for non-dairy milk anymore. I would just say, do you want oat or almond or soy? Because I want to lift people up with my assumptions. And on a day like Thanksgiving, I don't want to do anything more than lift people up with my assumptions, because it's hard to get through this life and a lot of things are presented to us. And sometimes we understand one thing first, and sometimes we understand another thing first. So for me, for Thanksgiving, as a very long time vegetarian and quite a long time vegan too, is that what I want to be in a gathering like that is the kindest person in the room. And not just because I'm vegan. I want to be the kindest person in the room because there's somebody else at that gathering who's feeling uncomfortable too. They might be eating turkey with 2 fists, but they're uncomfortable about something else. I've come to see long ago that even though it may not be fair, everything that I espouse, I represent. So I'm part of the Compassion Consortium. I don't want to have to represent the whole Compassion Consortium. What if I'm in a bad mood and I just want to be grumpy? Well, I don't want people to think that practices of the Compassion Consortium make people grumpy. Self up a little bit. I also know that I'm representing vegans, vegetarians, animal advocates, and some people will never meet another one. Only me, only you, we're it. And so I believe it's our job to be with people, to be kind, to bring the best dish that's out on the table, and allow people to be lifted up by our light and by who we are. Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. We can also be the light that we would like to see shining on the world. One of my favorite quotations from Jesus is, and I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. I love this idea of being lifted up and in a sort of magnetic way, lifting up others too. Because at a gathering where people are new to maybe the way I eat or the way I think, they might be curious, but they don't want an argument. And if somebody wants an argument, I need to be the one who doesn't want one. So we're going to open this up now to everybody. And we're going to just invite the question, what are you thinking about this November? What are you thinking about as we approach this Thanksgiving? What's on your mind? I know we'll have breakout rooms later, and if you want to get real personal and even emotional, that's what the breakout rooms are for. But right now, just share with us what's coming up for you and how are you going to approach this month and this holiday. So I will take electronic hands. I can even change my view so that I could see real hands. But right now I can only see electronic hands, and you raise that by going down to where it says react, a little heart should say react. If you click there, you'll see raise hand, and you can raise your hand, and you can talk about Thanksgiving. And while you're getting your nerve up to do that, I will remind you that in the chat, there's a link for the Compassionate Cookbook or Cook Booklet that is our Thanksgiving gift to you. These are recipes created by graduates of Main Street Vegan Academy and offered as gifts for your Thanksgiving. Okay, Susan F.
Hi, Victoria and everyone. This Thanksgiving, as I have been doing for many years, I'm going to go to a vegan potluck in Rancho Park, Los Angeles. My cousins invited me to come to their home for Thanksgiving in Las Vegas. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't make it, but I invite you to join me in Los Angeles for a vegan potluck in a park.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, Southern California people, now you know where to go. Suzanne.
Thank you very much for your opening remarks and everything that's been said so far. I am feeling a bit emotional. I'm actually doing the opposite of what the woman who just spoke is doing. Ordinarily, I get together with a vegan group here in the Philadelphia area, and I decided this year that I'm going to get together with family, and it will be a completely non-vegan meal with the exception of what I'm bringing. And so I'm very glad that you gave us this cookbook, and I'm going to look and see if I can find something for me to bring. And I made the decision because I think along the lines of what you were saying, I want to be the vegan in the room with the non-vegans. I want them to be in my presence. And they know I'm vegan. This isn't a new crowd. But so it was a very deliberate decision, even though in some ways, well, I don't think it will be hard. I don't think I would have done it if I thought it was going to be hard. So I feel very motivated to do it. But the reason I'm feeling emotional, and this won't take long, I was with one of my sisters last night and a brother who lives in Connecticut and was visiting with us. We were talking about all kinds of things. And at one point, my sister said to me, and this was in context, but I won't go into all of that. Suzanne wants us to stop eating meat. And it really took me aback because I never proselytize. I just show up and do what I do. And then I thought about it this morning because it stayed with me during the night. And I thought and I am going to say this to my sister. It's not that I want people to stop eating meat. I want animals to stop suffering. And it's a really different focus. And I was grateful that it became so clear to me that how she sees me is that I want to control people, and how I see me is that I want to help animals. So.
Thank you, Suzanne. Bless you. Lisa Bell.
Suzanne, first of all, that was really lovely. I like the way you turned that, because I don't think I proselytize, but I think I probably do. The holidays, like for all of you, I'm sure for me, are very, very hard. I start to struggle around October because the end of the year is filled with birthdays of parents who are long gone, and lots of reminders of death of loved ones. I have a really hard time around the end of the year. My dad's birthday is November 21st, so that's kind of what's always on my mind. And I tried for years to have Thanksgiving with non-vegans, and it was really hard. And my daughter walked into my sister's dining room one year. Everybody's always been super supportive of us. They make non-vegan dishes for us, and there's always food for us to eat. But my daughter saw the turkey on the plate and sat down at the table and started to cry and got up and left the room. And I thought, okay, so I can't do that to her anymore. And so we no longer share a table with people who are eating animals because emotionally it's just too hard for us. So Thanksgiving almost isn't even really celebrated in our home in terms of, it's just a day off. We all happen to be home. It's only the three of us, my husband, my daughter, and I. But I have a really hard time actually being as patient and loving and forgiving and non-judgmental of people who know the truth but choose not to do anything about it. I don't know about the people out there that don't know what's actually happening, but there are people out there who know what's happening and consciously say, oh, well, it just tastes too good, or, oh, well, it this, or, oh, well, that. So I'm here actually on Sunday services, and I'm working on finding forgiveness or compassion for those human beings. But I do have a really hard time around the holidays because it seems so, it just seems like a lot. So I appreciate what everybody's saying. Victoria, you're just amazing. You're that peaceful, loving, forgiving thing that you exude. I strive to be like that. But yeah. Anyway, Suzanne, I like the way you changed that. People do see me as someone who preaches, who wants people to just stop eating meat. But the truth is, I really just don't want animals to suffer anymore. I really don't. I want it to stop. So anyway, thanks for that, you guys.
Diane.
Cool. Hi, everybody. My kids are coming home this year, and I don't think they both came home last year. I don't remember what we did last year, but 2 years ago, I cooked a vegan, semi-traditional Thanksgiving dinner. It was a tofu roast, and we had smashed potatoes, and we had a vegetable, and I made little rolls. So it was, everything was the same, except there were no animal products anywhere to be found. And my kids loved it. But then they grumbled about it later. And I'm like, you know what? You liked it while we were eating it. What's the problem now? when they thought, because neither of them are vegan, not even close. And so this year, when they said they were coming home, I said, great, but we're going to stay home, which is the plan. I'm cooking and it's going to be vegan. The only thing I'm telling them is we don't have to have a traditional Thanksgiving with the potatoes. You guys pick. I'll cook it. If you want Italian, we can have vegan lasagna. If you want fajitas, I make great fajitas, vegan fajitas. You guys pick, but it's going to be vegan. We'll all be together. We'll all celebrate being together. And for me, it's about that, having my 2 children home, and the food is going to be good. I know it is because I cook this stuff all the time. And we'll have a nice time together, and it'll be about that. But I'm going to let them pick this year so that there's no grumbling.
Cool. Vegan and no grumbles. I like
Exactly.
it. Bless you. Christopher.
Hello.
Hi.
So this is can't say I'm about 95% vegan at this point. I still have an occasional milk product. Right now I have eggnog in the fridge, but other than that, I haven't touched meat in. Well, I initially went vegan back in April. I tried meat in August and I couldn't. It just didn't sit well, and not physically, but just spiritually. I haven't really thought as to why I became vegan, but it was more just a leading of spirit. It's hard to acknowledge God while having a mouthful of flesh, or it's hard to acknowledge that there is a God, a creator, a sustainer of the universe, whatever you want to call it, if there's flesh in your gut, because God is one. So that's mainly what brought me to veganism, or almost there all the way, but was just spirit leading me, saying, hey, that's me, you're eating me. And it was rather intense. And like, I moved cross country, so I'm nowhere near family. That's another topic altogether. But the church I go to is going to have a potluck, but I'm the only one that isn't even vegetarian. Like, everyone else is just happy meat eaters. I think I live where all chicken is processed. I don't know. I see when on my way to work, I pass a few chicken plants, and there's been a few times when I go past it and I just see semi after semi after semi full of these cramped caged chickens waiting to go be torn apart. And every once in a while driving by, I just kind of lose it a little bit while driving, because I can just feel the energy of just that death. That's anyway. I know it's not quite on topic of. I'm probably gonna go solo this year and figure out. I don't know, just do something at home. But thanks.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Christopher. And thanks to everybody who shared. We are closing at the exact perfect moment, which just always makes me feel like there's divinity flowing through here at full speed. Let's turn it over now to Jen and some magnificent mammals.
Hi, everyone. This month's Song of Compassion is the second in a 3-month series exploring biomusic. Biomusic can be defined as a form of experimental music, which uses sounds created or performed by non-humans. One of the most well-known producers of biomusic is none other than the whale. Humpback whales and blue whales produce a series of repetitive sounds at varying frequencies, which experts believe are used for either mate selection, echolocation, or maybe even purely for aesthetic enjoyment. Humans use it frequently for meditation or relaxation purposes due to its calming and soothing nature. In this video by the Oceania Project, we'll take a journey to witness the beauty and importance of humpback whales in Australia's coastal waters. This nonprofit organization dedicated to marine conservation showcases breathtaking footage while emphasizing the urgent need to protect these gentle giants and their habitats. By fostering awareness and understanding, the Oceania Project inspires us to join efforts in preserving the ocean's delicate ecosystems for future generations. So let's just all take a deep breath and enjoy a few moments to see how we feel after listening to these beautiful whale songs.
Thank you, Jen, for those beautiful voices from those magnificent beings. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Compassion in Action. I'm excited to welcome a guest from across the pond. It's late where he is. He's in Glasgow, Scotland. So glad you are here, Kevin. Kevin is a practicing pagan, a witch, and founder and creator of the award-winning Humane Wildlife Solutions, which is a 100% humane, vegan, non-lethal, and ethical alternative to pest control. I think most of us who are animal lovers find it easy to love the animals that we love, and just a little bit harder to love those that are just a little less convenient to us. So thank you, Kevin. We're so glad you're here.
Hi, Elaine. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Lovely to be here in your Sunday service today, all the way from Scotland. Very, very cold and dark Scotland just now. But I'm absolutely honoured and delighted to be invited here to your wonderful Sunday service. And I've got to say, I've absolutely loved every minute of it so far.
Oh, I'm so glad, Kevin. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did your love of wildlife. You say on your website that you had been working with wildlife for several years. How did that translate or transition into this truly innovative business?
Well, as a teenager, I was a big wildlife nerd, loved my wildlife. So while my friends were out doing all the other things teenage boys should do, I was out looking for wildlife, trying to find wild rats and study them and look at snakes and birds and you name it, I was out there. And I happened to do a walk to raise money for a wildlife rescue as a teenager. And one of the people who funded this gave a donation for our charity walk. I became good friends with. She was an old lady that lived on her own, and she was a neighbor of ours. So we used to go and spend time with hers. After school, would go around and just spend time with her. She was a lonely old lady, and she really enjoyed our company. Well, she one day had rabbits coming into her garden and going to her vegetable patch and eating all her vegetables she was growing. And me being a keen naturalist, I had my wildlife journal and I noted it all down, where the animals got in and how the rabbits got in and what they were doing. And I drew this map out, and I still have my little report I wrote as a teenager today, not knowing that all those years later I'd be doing that as a profession. I'd already, at that stage, with my passion for wildlife, created what I was later to found in Humane Wildlife Solutions. And bring it up to the modern day. So I've been going just over 12 years now with the business, which is going strength to strength. Before the business, I used to work helping people trying to overcome mental health or physical barriers for stopping them getting their dream jobs. And I loved it. It was such a fantastic job, helping people achieve their dreams. It was something I was very passionate about. I got made redundant from the job, sadly. And I decided I needed to do something I was passionate about, because I'd gone through life, given my everything for organizations that I worked for, only to ever be let down all the time. So I wanted to readdress that, take control of my life and the situation. And I wanted to do something I could to help animals. And I was very, very lucky. I sat down one evening watching TV and come across a program called Fox Wars here in the UK, where they were talking about how many thousands of foxes were killed every year. And I was like, I want to stop that. And you can see the Fox logo over that shoulder and on my top. And that kind of was the birth of the business. And it's just gone from strength to strength. And my passion and love for wildlife is something that I think that's why I'm on this planet, is to do as much as I can to help our fellow earthlings, be they humans or horses or fleas or rats or mice or wasps. Doesn't matter what they are. If someone's having a conflict and they need a non-lethal solution, I'm the person they come to.
Well, I know many of us are so glad you're here, not just here at the Compassion Consortium, but doing your work, because it is so, so important, because so many of us struggle with these questions of how do I live a humane life when there seems to be so many problems between wildlife, be it a creature, insect, or a bird, and humans. So that brings me to my next question. What's been your most challenging case so far?
Oh, I'm going to say not a case. I'm going to say my most challenging client. Now, every time I have a job, I see the animal as my client. They get my maximum love and respect when I'm working with them. And if I see the rat or the mouse or the bird, whatever they are, as my client, then they are treated as best as I could treat them. And it'd have to be, my most difficult one is going to be any rat job that I do. The intelligence that rats show, their social structure, honestly, they blow me away every time. I've been doing this over 12 years. And I had a case recently where we had this family of rats coming in under the drains at the back of a vegan business that I work for, one of my clients. And so we sealed off this entire shop. It was a huge shop. We sealed off with wire mesh, and so they couldn't chew their way through. Now, the rats were outside the walls, so they're in the void in the wall trying to get into the business. Now, just one show of just how intelligent and incredibly hard rats are to work with because of this intelligence level they have. These rats figured from a wall, so they could not see where we'd put the proofing on this side. So went up to about I think it's about 3-4 foot up the wall. So these rats managed to climb up the inside of the wall and chew through directly above where we put the proofing. Now, we have no idea how they did that because there's no way they could see where we did our proofing. And we ended up cutting a massive hole in the wall. I asked my clients, cut the hole in the wall. I want to see what's going on behind this wall so I can help solve your rat problem. When we opened up the wall, there was nothing the rats could climb up to get to that part of the wall, and it just blew my mind. They're so difficult to deal with because they're so intelligent, but also they're so family orientated. They love their children. They'll never abandon their babies. If they have a family there, they'll always move them on together. So you always have to take that in consideration when working with them, because their desire is to their family, their immediate family. And if I need to exclude rats from a house or a business, I have to think about, are these rats going to have a family? What's the safest way they can remove their family without them being harmed and taking them to safe places? So I would say, Elaine, rats are the most difficult creature to work with just because they're so fantastic and incredible. And just in case people are listening to this and go, oh, but rats, they're disease and they're vermin. You know what? They're not. I've been doing this 12 years. I've been in the most confined positions with rats under houses, in attics, in walls. I've never caught anything from them. They are the most hygienic creatures I think you'll ever see. And anyone who's ever had rats as companion animals, you'll know instantly just how amazing these creatures are. So I always like to give a spotlight to rats and my deep love for them, just because they're incredible. But also, they also give me a hard time whenever I'm doing a rat job.
Well, I love that viewpoint. One I've not heard before, that the animals that some people call pests, those are your clients. And that is certainly switches my perspective instantly. So you're going to make me think twice about the rats in the barn, who I talk to. I don't do anything about, but
Elaine, we share this earth with all the animals. It's not our planet. We're all earthlings, no matter what species you are. So I have to give them my full respect because they're just trying to live their lives just like we are. We do ours differently to them, and sometimes their worlds and our worlds clash and collide, and you never have to take a lethal method or way to resolve that. You just need to understand them at the end of the day.
Well, your company is almost, I wouldn't say fighting, but is contradicting centuries of ingrained societal prejudices against these animals or creatures or whatever, that we don't like them, they're inconvenient because they do harm to us or to animals we've invested money in, whatever. So that brings me up to what probably will be our last question. Have you ever encountered any creatures, insect, whatever, that you felt must be destroyed to ensure human safety? Or is there always an alternative way of managing the conflict with humans?
No, I'd never, ever have any animal destroyed, no matter what they are, no matter how hard the job is. There's always a non-lethal way to go about it. I've done over 7,000 jobs in these 12 years, and I've done it globally, everywhere from Canada to the States to Australia to India to Vietnam, all over Europe. And I've never come across a case where there's been such a big human health and safety issue that I would even consider it. And I never would, no matter what the case is. I know for all these years of working with animals, I know I can find a solution. There's never been a case where animals should be harmed. And at the end of the day, culling and killing animals never solves a wildlife conflict. It just delays it until they come back again.
Kevin, you have given me hope. I hear time and time again, I live on a farm, about, getting rid of the rats and the bugs that are on the trees for the fruit. And just your outlook is just, it's so inspiring. So thank you. And thank you for sharing it with us. I want to mention to everyone that Kevin does consult internationally. He is in Glasgow, Scotland. As you heard him say, he has helped people all over the world. And if you have problems, contact him through the links that have been in the chat. And he's also going to join us after the service for fellowship. So if you have some questions, maybe he can answer them there. But Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here, and I'll continue to join the service now and look forward to the questions. If people do have questions, please reach out, even just to chat. Wildlife is my passion. I'll always make time to talk to people about animals and how we live side by side with them.
Thank you, Kevin.
Love that. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Elaine, for finding Kevin. What a treat, and what a great perspective for all of the folks that we have here. Jen, thank you, and my feline roommate thanks you for those whale songs. That was something else. I was noticing kind of how it sounded. I started to anthropomorphize, and I'm like, whales sound like an orchestra tuning up. So interesting how our mind makes those connections. And Victoria, thank you so much for that wonderful conversation, and for everybody who shared. We're kind of coming to the time in our service where we consider the things that are on your hearts and on your minds, and we offer blessings and prayers for them. So we usually start with something about good news. We start with some sort of good news that we have noticed. Again, getting up to that negative bias, what is some good news that we might find? And Victoria found us a great one this month. Archbishop Boris Gudziak on November 13th, during the U.S. Bishops' annual fall meeting, called for a return to the obligation for Catholics to abstain from meat on Fridays as a way of acknowledging the importance of caring for creation. So we are totally inspired by the potential and possibility in 1 billion or so Catholics who might eat meatless one day a week. Although the jury is still out on what this might mean for sea creatures, so we're holding that tension. The Archbishop reflected, a return to Friday abstinence would be good for the soul and good for the planet, maybe for something else, uniting our devotion to the Lord and reverence for the Lord's creation. We think this is some darn good news. So keep those prayers coming into me here in the chat, and I will attend to those after our blessing from Jess. Jess, the floor is yours. I think you got something for us talking turkeys.
We are talking turkeys, yes. As we approach the holiday season that involves the loss of countless turkey lives, I did want to create a blessing that honored these magnificent beings. Through these words, I aim to create a space where we can remember and celebrate their intelligence, their beauty, and their right to live free and happy lives. It is my desire to remember, to create this space where other humans can remember they are sentient beings capable of joy, sorrow, and complex emotions. And it is my hope to create more freedom and more peace for all turkeys everywhere. And then there's a video because I get nervous speaking in large groups. So I like to create videos instead.
We love to hear you speak in this large group. And Phil, you ready to roll the video?
Calling on God, the divine, great spirit, the universe, the unity underlying all. We invite you to join us in this sacred space for a blessing for turkeys. Turkeys, magnificent beings, are beautiful and resilient. Native to North America, these intelligent birds are captivating. With their iridescent feathers, distinctive gobbles, and playful struts, they are a sight to behold with wonder and awe. Did you know that turkeys are incredibly intelligent birds? They can remember up to 30 fellow turkeys and communicate in complex ways. They are loving mothers and known to adopt and take care of hatchlings beyond their own. Turkeys have keen senses, allowing them to see the world in ways we can't. They can see ultraviolet light and have a nearly 360-degree field of vision. Their hearing is also exceptional, enabling them to detect sounds at great distances and frequencies beyond our human perception. Beyond their remarkable abilities, we honor turkeys as sentient beings with an inherent right to live, to be free, and to be held in compassion and care. May all turkeys live free, safe, and peaceful lives. May their days be filled with the joy of foraging, their nights with restful sleep. May they roam freely across fields, their powerful legs carrying them with grace. May they delight in the taste of acorns and berries. May they gather in flocks, sharing warmth, companionship, and social interaction. May their nests be free and safe from predators, their young ones growing strong and healthy. May their lives be filled with wonder, their spirits soaring as high as the heavens. Let us celebrate and honor turkeys for their beauty, their intelligence, and their unique place in the natural world. May this blessing bring peace, love, and understanding to all turkeys. As we honor these magnificent birds, let us commit to protecting them, caring for them, and creating the space for them to be free, live long and abundant lives with all needs met. And may we humans remember that we are inherently a part of all of life, a part of the fabric of the universe. We are not separate from our animal friends. May we send out love, compassion, and care to the lives of all turkeys. And so it is. Amen.
Jess, I have to say these blessings touch me so much because of the specificity that you're including about each species. Not just that someone might be free from pain or suffering, but the specificity that you go into understanding their lives, the idea of the taste of acorns and the ability to nest. May I add on to that, may we keep looking at other animals around us, not just in the release of pain and suffering, but what do they need to thrive? Just thank you for helping us remember that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
And to those in the chat, we add to this prayer and this blessing for turkeys, we add prayers and healings to Jody's niece, Allison. We pray for spiritual development and the ability to forgive. Oh my gosh, that is a good one. We have a prayer for someone to get into a career that allows her to help animals, wildlife, and farm life. Yes. We've got a prayer for Captain Paul Watson. Oh yeah, we've been following this too, who's dedicated his life to ensuring the whale songs won't be silenced. Amen. He needs to be released so he can continue to do his good work on behalf of our animal cousins. Agreed. Prayers for balance and wisdom and peace of heart and mind in all interactions. One of you added in some wisdom from the Baha'i faith. One must be very considerate towards animals and show greater kindness to them than to man. That's something for us to contemplate, huh? Someone else added beans and rice for Jesus Christ. So if that is helpful for you folks as a recipe for Thanksgiving or any other holiday, feel free to take that one. And two others here. I just learned that turkeys purr like cats. And also there are some requests to pray for the animals and people that have been affected by Tropical Storm Sarah that just went through Central America this weekend. Safe passage and comfort and wholeness for Spencer, the dog companion to Lisa and Serena, who will meet his maker tomorrow. Thank you all for these prayers, and I encourage you to keep prayers and blessings going in whatever your tradition is or whatever is meaningful for you. This is the closing prayer and blessing we say together each month. And rather than just saying it, just take a deep breath for a second. To pray, we must be at prayer, balancing ourselves, breathing in and out, saying the words in a sacred way, not just reciting. I invite you to say these words slowly and sacredly with me today. May all creatures everywhere be happy and free. May the thoughts, words, and actions of our lives contribute to this happiness and this freedom for all. Please add your preferred ending word. whether that be, may it be so. Amen. Amen. So mote it be. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Or another. Hey folks, thank you for joining us today. If you found this service useful, please consider making a donation to help cover the cost of this event. While our spiritual team volunteers their time, we do have expenses, and we would very, very much appreciate either taking a swipe at that QR code on the screen that you see there, or you can go to the link that is in the chat right now, which is right on our website. We appreciate any donation. None is too small or too large. We'll take them all. And I believe there's a few more announcements that we have. Jen, you're up.
A reminder that you can catch all past episodes, spiritual and meditative practices, plus guest interviews on our YouTube channel. Our next special event evening will be an exciting book night with none other than our own Victoria Moran. She'll join us January 6th, 2025 already at 7:30 p.m. Eastern to get the first look at her book, Age Like a Yogi. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite, and we will post the link in the chat. In our December Sunday service, our Compassion and Action guest will be Jenny Makita, animal chaplain and animal-friendly lawyer, and Victoria's spiritual conversation guest is a surprise appearance, so stay tuned for more details. At our Engaged Compassionist practice circle on December 10th, Victoria will be leading the night, sharing on the how of compassionate eating, getting ready for Veganuary. We're opening the Engaged Circle to everyone this month, so watch for the link in the monthly newsletter. If you are not getting the monthly newsletter, you can sign up using the link Sarah will put in the chat. Join the weekly online peaceful half hour of vegan-oriented meditation and mindful sharing with David Simon each Monday evening. And if you or someone you know has experienced an animal loss, visit findanimalchaplain.com to locate a chaplain near you, or join Reverend Jenny and Animal Chaplain Jess on the second Thursday of each month on Zoom. Our next gathering will be December 12th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. You can also join animal chaplain and activist Elena Sigler of the Night Sky Garden on the second Monday of each month for the emotional support that's so necessary for animal advocacy. Our next gathering will be December 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, Jen. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for Sunday service. We do hope you will stick around for fellowship.